Hello there guys, my name is MrYorkiesWorld, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to some brand new scenery that I've purchased. We are at Paris Charles De Gaulle today with KLM1228. We're going to Amsterdam, or Echo Hotel Alpha Mike, I have to think about that. We're going to be using the PMDG 737-800. As you can see, it's a nice clear day here at Paris Charles De Gaulle. I've turned down some settings in hopes that it might improve some performance because we've been having some insane stutters. We're at Foxtrot 34 today. The parking brake's already set. We can go ahead and sort the fuel out. So let's just open the doors. There we go. Fuel, so we're going to be taking a total of £10,604 of fuel today. It's going to take approximately an hour and 5 minutes, but it could take a little bit more depending on the route and whether we get vectored elsewhere. Fuel pump's on. And we can start the APU. Wheel well light on. 310 today. For the cruise altitude. We've got some new GSX sounds because we're using GSX level 2. Excited to see what it sounds like and what it looks like. IRSs to nav. We can, of course... What else? TCAS. There we go. XPDR. Good to be back. Really good to be back on the channel. Really looking forward to this video. We can go to the pause init page. We are at Lima Foxtrot Papa Golf. And we are at gate Foxtrot 34. Stick that in there. Yep, it's going to accept it, which is good. GPSL position. Route, we can go to LFPG-EHAM, or EHAM. We need to figure out the runway we're going to use, so we're going to ask clearance to give us that information. VORs, traffic and data. 80 on the initial altitude. Let's just go to Pro ATCX and just find out. Right, there we go. So we're going to be using 26 right with the Norm 2 Bravo departure. So we're using KLM1228. Activate and execute. We might as well select the departure now. So 26 right. And the Norm 2 Bravo. Or Norm 2 Bravo. There we go. Execute that. We can go to the legs page, check for any discontinuities, which there isn't going to be any, that's fine. Right, so 0 fuel weight, 121.8. Our reserves today are actually going to be 0.92. It's going to obviously round it to 0.9. I believe the cost index for KLM is 15 when we're cruising and stuff. 310 is going to be the cruise altitude, and the transition altitude, we're in Europe, so I'm assuming it's going to be 6,000. I'll sort it out in just a second when I've had a chance to see that. We're going to be using flaps 5. Going to close the doors for the catering. 6,000 feet, we'll just go back. I've just checked on EFB. According to that, it is indeed 6,000 feet. 24k D rate we're going to be using. I'm just going to check the winds out, so 270 at 5, which gives us a V2 speed of 142 knots. So if we go to LNAV and VNAV, they can be armed. I'm just going to select the runway heading. 266, LNAV, VNAV. We can also transfer the APU power, like so. Yaw damper on, window heat switches on. Catering's completed, so we can request boarding. I'm going to attach the jetway to the left, confirm selection. And if we go outside, we should be able to see the jetway. No, it's not actually working, which is weird. Don't know why that's happened. Nevertheless, we have got the air stair there, so that might be why. So everybody's boarding. I can't see any sort of passengers or anything like that, which is a bit of a shame. Not entirely sure why that's happening, but as you can see, the passengers are boarding, or they've boarded by the looks of it. There's obviously a problem with GSX for some reason, but nevertheless, here we are on the ground, getting boarded, getting ready to go, and I will catch up with you guys in a sec. Right, okay, so everybody's boarded onto the aircraft now. We can begin the process of requesting startup and pushback. We just need to go ahead and enter the fixed information, which we already have. I forgot to do that on video, but we have entered that at 50, 100 and 150 mile radius rings around Amsterdam. We've been cleared for pushback and start, so we will close the doors. Both of these airports, Paris and Amsterdam, are brand new purchases for this channel. Wheel well light off. Anti-collision with the hydraulic pumps as well. And we can remove the ground connections while we're at it. Pushback and start, KLM. We're going to go tail left. I'm going to have to start, or stop, should I say, the pushback prematurely because there's a bit of a wall in our way and we're liable to go tail first into it, so there's the truck somewhere. There we go.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Interesting sounds from GSX. I still prefer the ones I was using previously, so I might just reinstall those. GSX has always been renowned for using pretty generic sounds. They're not really as realistic as the ones that I was using previously, so I might just reinstall those.
Locking gear.
Yeah, it is very, very, very generic. Not very impressed with that, to be honest. Along with the other issues I've been having, I can't seem to see any animated passengers on numerous flights that I've done off the channel.
Bypass pin inserted. Release parking brakes.
It's not too bad, but
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
engine number 2.
1505 taxi via Romeo.
We'll wait while 25%,
Alpha 18
Romeo, Tango 6 Golf.
or thereabouts.
181505.
I think that'll do, to be honest. We've actually got some shadows appearing as well, like below the wing, which is good. I've changed some settings in the sim. I've toned them down quite a bit for this video, purely and simply because we're using rather large airports. But there we are, the gorgeous KLM. I actually think it looks better like this. I've got FXAA turned on. That's the wall I was on about, so I might have to manually stop the pushback in a sec. Don't really trust GSX, to be honest. I'm going to stop the pushback and complete there. We'll have to line up properly on the taxiway ourselves. Engine number 1. Same procedure.
Set parking brakes.
Parking brakes set. I might just release the fuel at 20 on this. Maybe a bit more. There we go. Number 1 spooling up.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
It is definitely better, those sounds, but it's just not as good as what I've got, what I was using previously. Continuous with engine number 2. Hopefully going to be followed very closely by engine number 1 when it cuts out. There we go. Right, probe heats.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Power. Packs. APU bleed. APU. Lights, they can come on. Flaps 5. And the trim. And let's just do a quick control check. So, if my joystick will allow it, full left, full right as the flaps come down, Full forward, full back, and full left on the rudder, and full right on the rudder. All looking good. Right, okay, so, get rid of that page, we can bring the engine one back up. Taxi to the runway.
KLM1228, taxi via Papa Romeo to runway 26 right.
Via Papa Romeo to runway 26 right.
Just checking those details on EFB. Do apologise. Right. Okay, so it looks like a pretty straightforward taxi. We can release the parking brake. It's currently 12:30 PM. It's a bit weird how the wheel doesn't start turning until the aircraft's moving. Or to that extent anyway, it looked as if the aircraft was sort of sliding across the floor, which is a bit strange, but nevertheless. So as always, I will go over some pretty straightforward details about this flight. So, we are flying from LFPG, Paris, to EHAM, Amsterdam, or EHAM, or however you want to say it. Our cruise altitude is 310. We are with KLM1228 today in the 737-800 by PMDG. It's going to take approximately 219 nautical miles, or covering 219 nautical miles, taking about an hour and 5 minutes. And above all else, this video is going to be one of my comeback videos to YouTube, because I've not really been focusing on full flight videos very much, and I do apologise for that. We have recently hit 3,000 subscribers, and as a result of that, you can expect to see a brand new sort of celebration video. It's going to be a very, very long video in which people get to know a hell of a lot of information about me, how the channel originated. There's going to be a lot of questions that have previously been asked via social media that are going to be featured in that video. If you want any other questions to be featured in that video, post them in the comments below, and following this video I will add them to a list and I'll do my best to explain them. It's not going to be a live stream. I have thought about doing a live stream, but obviously with my time constraints and stuff like that, at the moment it's not really going to work out. But we will, however, still be able to do a pretty long video, and I'm talking about probably in excess of an hour long, so everybody gets to hear a little bit about MrYorkiesWorld, where I came from, what I do, how old I am, what my name is, and stuff like that, and all the good stuff that really I should have let you guys know a little bit sooner, but I've felt recently that I'm about ready to do that, and it should be pretty exciting. So, that out of the way, we are currently taxiing to the runway, and it's a pretty nice airport. I didn't want to cut it short because I wanted to see all of the scenery that is this airport, and I wanted to sort of take advantage of the purchases that I've made. Another thing obviously that's going to be featured in that long video as well, I'll call it the About Me video. It's going to be pretty detailed about how much money it costs in general to become a flight sim enthusiast on YouTube, how much money I've personally spent, and all that good stuff, because I've had a lot of questions from people about that as well. But look at the wing view anyway. Going back to the video, look at the wing view. We've got an amazing view there. Really is nice, nice scenery, but I'm just still struggling with some stutter and some terrible performance from P3D 4.3. To be honest, I am strongly considering upgrading some hardware, preferably the CPU, because obviously it's a very CPU intensive platform, so it might be a case of upgrading that pretty soon. It's the Intel Core i7 4790K. It's not even up, like, overclocked, so I might try overclocking it again. That might be an option, but I try not to overclock, because as much as it can help, it's it can also be a bit of a hindrance and reduce the life of your components.
Ground, Scandinavian 567. It's cleared of the runway. Request
Scandinavian?
Scandinavian 567. Taxi via Lima, Quebec, Bravo.
But yeah, really looking forward to it. I like the detail that's been put into this. There we have a 777 there, I think. Yep. Egypt Air by the looks of it. Look at the detail. Now that's obviously Ultimate Traffic Live. It's an Egypt Air 777. Love the detail on it. Looks like we just held him up as well. Us going down that taxiway made him have to hold position, which can't be very happy about. Looks like we've either got a go around there from an EasyJet, or it is indeed taking off. I think it's taking off, actually. But yeah, really enjoying the amount of detail that's been put into this airport. We've got the 3D grass as well, which is pretty nice. But anyways, I will catch up with you guys a little bit later on once we get to the runway threshold. Okay guys, so we are literally just turning onto the runway threshold here. We're probably going to get contacted by Tower any second. This is runway 26 right. Should be receiving a notification from Tower any moment. I might have to just manually... Yeah, there we go. TA and R8. Give it a test while we're at it. Landing lights, taxi lights off, and strobes on. We've been cleared to line up. TCAS has passed. Gentle acceleration. I think I may have to purchase a new joystick. The spikes that I'm getting from this one are quite annoying, especially on takeoff, where I can be sort of pulling back on the stick and it doesn't do anything. And then all of a sudden it will. Nevertheless, here we go. Clear for takeoff, so we can start the clock. 40%. Engine's looking stabilised. Toga. We've got a master caution. I think that is a glitch with the PMDG because I can't imagine why it's there. Everything's stable, everything's looking fine, so we're okay. V1 coming up. And rotate. There we go. It actually worked fine that time. Gear up, positive rate. Auto brake off. We can switch off the engines or switch them to off. Runway turn off lights can come off as well. And look at that view. Absolutely gorgeous. So we're already over 1,500 feet. So I will go ahead and arm the autopilot or engage it. And we can clean up. So, seatbelts to auto. Gear locked. Look at that. That is absolutely tremendous. I'm not having as many pop-in issues either. Having turned down my settings a little bit. Absolutely phenomenal view. Flaps on the way up to number 1. By the time they get to 1, it will be time for them to come up completely, so that's all good. Yeah, we might as well start bringing those flaps up now. There we go. Perfect. Coming up on 5,000 feet. Lovely view. Hardly a cloud in the sky, to be honest.
KLM1228,
190 on the altitude.
190, KLM1228.
Altitude intervene. 6,000 feet now. We can go ahead and press standard. And we will go ahead and just make sure the forecast is set to the correct transition altitude. So 6,000 for the arrival. And both on the legs page, that's all good. Little bit of lag. I've got a brand new P3D config file. I've not made any tweaks or any adjustments or anything to it, so that's probably why we're still dealing with a little bit of issue when it comes to pop-in of the textures and stuff. Not very far to go, to be honest. You can see that by the time we get to top of climb, or top of cruise, it's probably going to be, you know, 10-15 minutes before we have to begin the descent, so... Coming up on 10,000, we can switch off the landing lights. And apart from that, there's not much else to do. We're clear to increase our speed now, as you can see on the PFD. Some lovely views. Love the wing views, absolutely love them. I've actually updated them in Chase Plane as well to make them look a little bit better. So anyways, I will catch up with you guys after some short cinematics over on the way to Amsterdam. See you in a bit. Okay guys, so we are currently on sort of a rapid sort of descent, or trying to be on a rapid descent, because we got vectored out between runways, and we're actually going to be landing on runway 06 with, by the looks of it, a 30 knot tailwind, so we're going to be using a downwind approach, which is a bit of a worry actually, because usually we land into the wind and we take off into the wind, which isn't the case on this occasion. Obviously in real life they would not do that, or in some cases they would, depending on whether or not they've been told to for specific reasons. However, this is a simulator. You know by now that MrYorkiesWorld doesn't do what he should do, so we are just going to go the hell with it, and we're going to land anyway. So this should be quite a bit of a challenge. Hopefully we will avoid the standard MrYorkiesWorld float. Coming through the clouds, look at that. Get ready for some severe lag. It's going to be like a PowerPoint, as Chewie would say. And it literally is going to be like a PowerPoint. This is really, really bad performance over at Amsterdam, even with the settings reduced. Localizers coming in. Speed brake armed. We can activate approach approach hold. Look at that, the lag. Oh, I love it. It's the same as I've always said, there's absolutely nothing you can really do about lag in P3D. If you want it to look good, you're going to have to sacrifice performance. So we've been asked to lower the gear. I usually don't do it until we've been cleared, but there we go. Gear on its way down. So prepare to see a tailwind landing or downwind landing with, at the moment, it's very variable. The wind speed has dropped a little bit, 17 knots, but it's still quite a bit of a tailwind. Been cleared for final approach. Speed's looking good. 145 on the final approach speed. Lovely clouds. I'm hoping they tell us to reduce our speed pretty rapidly, because we're still going about nearly 180 knots at the minute. And we're at flaps 15.
On final, runway 06.
KLM1228. Slow 2, final approach speed. QNH.
There we go, final approach speed.
Clear to land runway 06.
Final approach speed, QNH 1019. Clear to land runway 06. KLM 1228.
Flaps 25. And flaps 30. Lovely wing view, look at that. We're looking okay, to be honest. I mean, apart from the stuttering and the low performance, we seem to be okay. Still a little bit worried about that tailwind. It's very variable. So we're using flaps 30 at 139, so it'll actually be 144, because we need to obviously add on the 5 knots, especially because of the tailwind. Absolutely beautiful.
Tower, easy 8876, holding short of runway 27, ready for departure.
Easy 8876. Line up runway 27.
Lining up for runway 27, easy 8876.
Obviously we will also look at some replays of the landing. That should be pretty interesting. Everything's set. We've got speed brake, we've got auto brake, 3 greens on the gear, lights, engines, passenger signs. And the replay should be pretty interesting. Still at 15 knots with that tailwind. Not exactly sure why Pro ATCX doesn't tend to use the correct runways, but here we go. Anyway, the aircraft is now mine. Try and control that turn a little bit. A little bit too far to the left.
Clear for takeoff, runway 27, easy 8877.
Try and turn it round a little bit. Get back on that localizer.
7004. Holding short of runway 27. Easy 70.
Which appears to be coming in.
Line up runway 27. Line up runway 27. Easy 7004.
500 feet. Hopefully the minimums will be correct. A little bit to the right now, there we go.
300. Approaching minimums. 2 at minimums.
Continue. Here comes the stutter. A little bit too high, but we can manage.
Easy 7004. Wind 230 at 1.
And
Runway 2.
we floated it, we floated it.
Runway 27. Clear for takeoff.
There we go,
Easy
touchdown.
700.
Reversers. Decel. terrible performance, absolutely atrocious, but we're down.
1228. Gate is right. Contact ground on.
Gate is not right, it's actually left. You can't go right, that's just for cargo by the looks of it. Auto brake off. We're going to roll it out to the end here. Well, that wasn't perfect, but it also wasn't bad, to be honest, considering the conditions. I think we did pretty well. Welcome everybody to Amsterdam. As we turn off of the runway here. Yeah, Pro ATCX doesn't always know what it's on about. It tells you to go to gates that don't exist. It tells you to use runways that aren't the correct runway. And, yeah. It doesn't really know what taxiways there are either. So let's just come to a stop at this threshold here. Parking brake set. And I will just go over to EFB, or should I say chase plane, and we can go ahead and take a look at some of those replays. So here we go. Okay, so looking at those replays, I wasn't actually that bothered. It looked as if it was okay, to be honest. A little bit of a float, but there we go. Yeah, you see, Pro ATCX said gate 13, and then the response was 1 something, so it's like 123 or something like that. So we never listen to Pro ATCX. I tend to just go for whichever gate I want, because Pro ATCX just doesn't know what it's on about. Transponder off, switch over the frequencies again. We can, of course, start the APU, landing lights off, engines to off, strobes to steady, probe heats off, and that should be okay. So, clean up the MCP the best we can. Traffic and data on both sides. We'll sort the flight directors out and everything later on. And welcome everybody to Amsterdam. And we will taxi to whichever gate I can find. Let's have a look. It says gate 123. There isn't a gate 123. I'm looking at EFB, and there isn't a gate 123. So we're just gonna go to like gate, I don't know, something. We'll go to something. We'll manage. Just having a look and seeing what is possible, whilst trying not to taxi off of the taxiway, which is pretty difficult. Flaps are on the way up. I love the detail, I hate the stutter. Clear that warning. So 13:38 approximately. Not bad. By the looks of it, it took 53 minutes. So it should have taken an hour and 5, and it didn't take that much at all, so that's perfect. Right. Look at the scenery, it's really detailed. I love it. Definitely thinking that an upgrade is on the cards. I can't be doing with this level of stutter. What gate are we actually going to use? I'm sat here trying to control the aircraft at the same time as look on my second screen. So what I think I'll do, I'll catch up with you guys in a few seconds when we finally decide. Alright guys, so Golf 3 is the gate that we were going to use. It's the only one that's available from GSX that sort of suits this aircraft. I'm not sure if it's even a small gate, it might be a large one or a heavy gate, but we're parking there regardless. I've turned off Ultimate Traffic Live because unfortunately it does tend to cause issues with replays, and while I was doing the replay I didn't want to risk the simulator crashing, so there we go. I had to reset it. Nevertheless, here we are. See if I can't mess up the parking. Got an animated bus and some animated vehicles, which is pretty nice. Let's go to an external view. I know I'm not going to be at the right place, but nevertheless. Yeah, way out. We'll stop there. Parking brake set. There we go. We can transfer the APU power now. And we can cut the engines. Seatbelt signs. And that is it. Welcome everybody to Amsterdam. Right, I need to actually connect the ground power before I mess about like that, because last time I did it, the aircraft threw a wobbler, if you will. Right, everything's set. There we go. Perfect. Right. So what next? Hydraulics can come off. We will leave the anti-collision light on just for now. Request deboarding. Clear that warning. And, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Let's just open some doors, because I think GSX is shouting at me. Oh, the gate works as well, that's good. Hometown, here I come. Right, okay. So, if we get up the FMC view in a second, we can sort out the doors and everything. There we go. Open left entry forward. Yep, we'll sort them out. And we can also open up the cargo. And the passengers are deboarding. So, hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Welcome to Amsterdam once again. Plenty more videos to come, including the 3,000 subscriber celebration video, which will be up very shortly. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.